Hi everyone, my name is Raquel, and today I'm going to be talking about some research that our lab is currently working on. So this research is exploring how Mexican American mothers of infants think about and express their parenting values and culture, particularly in the context of acculturation. So we know that acculturation influences parenting, and research has shown that more acculturated parents tend to exhibit lower levels of parental control and more warmth than less acculturated parents. And so for this study, we wanted to understand how these mothers reflect on their upbringings and how these reflections shape the way that they are parenting the next generation. And we are specifically capturing these reflections in the earlier stages of parenting, since most research is done with adolescents or with older children. And so to examine this, we interviewed 37 Mexican American mothers. Their infants were about 7 months to about a year. And in this sample, most of the mothers were either first generation or second generation. And to understand their acculturation, we gave them the acculturation scale that is commonly used for Mexican Americans. And some of the questions that they answered were, my friends are now white, or I like to identify myself as Mexican American. And so to understand the parents' upbringing, their parenting practices, and their cultural values, we conducted semi-structured interviews. And so parents answered several questions. And one of the questions, for example, was, how has your family upbringing affected your approach to taking care of your baby? And so, based on the responses, we thematically analyzed their transcripts, and we were looking for patterns in their parenting and in the cultural values. And so, our analysis revealed several different values that were common within the sample. One of them was that there was a continuity in bilingualism, which means that the parents valued their baby becoming English and Spanish bilingual speakers. They also valued passing some of the aspects of their culture, which could be like the food, the music, religion, pride in the culture, or behaviors such as respect. Another value was an emphasis on the family unit. So familismo, they valued having the family close, having their support and being united. However, we also saw that there were some shifts and boundaries that the parents commented on. And so the parents reflected on the negative aspects of their own upbringing and are now approaching discipline with less harshness and with less strictness, and are now promoting warmth, trust, and being present with the child in comparison to what they experienced as a child. And so overall, we found that first generation parents reported higher acculturation scores than the second generation parents, which is shown in the distribution graph. And across acculturation scores and first and second generation parents, the values were pretty consistent. So the value of familismo, um, the cultural transmission, and the parenting practices, they overall reported a strong emphasis and integration of these values. Um, in terms of seeing how their acculturation relates to each value, or sorry, each theme, we found no correlation with the exception of the value placed on bilingualism, which is shown in the middle graph. So this correlation may mean that more acculturated parents place a greater importance on the child's ability to communicate effectively with the family and with the host country. And so these findings suggest that cultural transmission is not static, it's dynamic, where parents are thoughtfully preserving the meaningful traditions to them, while they're also adapting and rejecting aspects of their own upbringing that do not align with their current parenting goals. And our results challenge the assumption that higher acculturation always leads to a greater cultural loss. In fact, bilingualism, which is often seen as a marker of cultural retention, was valued more by parents with higher acculturation, which can reflect that deeper importance for the parents to keep their children connected to themselves, the host country, and their native country. In the future, we would like to include a sample with greater variation in the acculturation scores, and we would like to examine how the parents' ethnic identity and language proficiency relate to the expression of the themes. And of course, we would like to thank everybody who has contributed to this project, especially the mothers who have participated, the research assistants, and the graduate students. Thank you all very much.